How can a country with over 1 billion people, a nation that is absolutely obsessed with sports, be such a non-factor in the world's biggest game? It's a huge puzzle, right? The great paradox of Indian football. For decades, it's been called a sleeping giant. But what if I told you that giant wasn't always asleep?
It honestly sounds like a crazy question to ask today, doesn't it? But it's the key to this whole story. Was India, a team we almost never see in major tournaments, once a true powerhouse in the world of football?
Well, get ready for this, because the answer is a massive, surprising yes. You have to look back to the period between 1951 and 1964. Under their legendary coach Syed Abdurrahman, India wasn't just good, they were a dominant force in Asia. They won the Asian Games twice, shocked everyone by finishing 4th at the Melbourne Olympics, and were runners-up in the AFC Asian Cup. This was India's golden age, and it's been almost completely forgotten.
And look, this was no fluke. This team was absolutely stacked with legends of the game. Guys like PK Banerjee and their captain Shuni Goswami. They weren't just winning, they were beating the best teams out there. They toppled Iran to win their first Asian Games gold, and then they did it again against a really tough South Korean team. They were, without a doubt, the kings of Asian football.
But then, it all just stopped. After one last bronze medal at the Asian Games in 1970, the light that had shone so brightly just went out. The golden era was over, and a long, really painful decline began. The continental powerhouse just faded away.
Now, even in the modern era, there were a few little sparks of hope. Back in February of 1996, India managed to reach its highest ever FIFA ranking of 94. It was a benchmark, a moment that kind of suggested, hey, maybe we're on our way back.
And then there's this number. Just under 2 decades later, Indian football completely hit rock bottom. They plummeted to an all-time low of 173rd in the world. I mean, the drop was just catastrophic. It was a brutal, stark reminder of just how far they had fallen.
And these stats? Well, they tell the whole story of the decline. It wasn't just one bad tournament. It was a slow, grinding collapse across the board. No medals, no Olympic qualifications, not even getting close to a FIFA World Cup. So you have to ask, what on earth went wrong?
Well, as is so often the case in sports, the answers weren't just about what was happening on the pitch. The real problems were structural, they were institutional, they were happening behind the scenes, far away from the game itself.
So, for starters, the domestic league system was a total mess. For years, India had this bizarre situation with 2 separate top-flight leagues running at the same time, the traditional I-League and the new flashy Indian Super League, the ISL. It created so much confusion, it split the fan base, it divided resources, and it just weakened the entire football pyramid.
And the root of all this chaos? It really came down to years of mismanagement at the top, from the All India Football Federation, the AFF. We're talking about constant governance failures, allegations of corruption, and crippling infighting. The media rights deals they signed were shockingly low. It got so bad that FIFA itself had to step in and briefly ban the federation in 2022. I mean, when the people in charge are in chaos, how can you possibly build anything for the future?
And here's where that mismanagement really hurts. The foundation of any successful footballing nation, youth development, it just crumbled. As one analysis put it so bluntly this year, the very leagues you need to find and train the next generation of players are in sharp decline. It's simple. You can't have a future if you're not building a pipeline of young talent.
But you know what? Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, the tide actually started to turn. In the 21st century, some real glimmers of hope began to appear, and they sparked what you might call a modern resurgence.
And a huge part of this comeback was built by coaches who finally brought some stability. Bob Houghton got India back to the Asian Cup in 2011, breaking a 27-year drought. Then, Stephen Constantine came in when the team was at its absolute lowest. Remember, rank 173? And somehow managed to lift them all the way back into the top 100. And all that hard work led to this one single, glorious moment in 2019, a spectacular 4-1 win over Thailand in the AFC Asian Cup. It was India's first victory in that tournament in 55 years. This was way more than just a win. It was a massive psychological breakthrough for the team, the fans, and the entire country.
And right at the heart of this entire revival has been one man, Sunil Chhetri. He's the captain, the all-time leading goal scorer, just an absolute legend. He scored 2 of the goals in that incredible win over Thailand, and he has been the inspirational leader who has pretty much dragged Indian football back towards respectability.
And now you can see the results in the trophy cabinet. While they're still a long way from competing on the world stage, India has completely re-established itself as the undisputed powerhouse of South Asia. They've won the SAF Championship a record 9 times. That regional dominance is the first, crucial step on a much longer journey back.
But let's be really clear here. This revival is still pretty fragile. Despite all the recent progress, the road ahead is incredibly tough, and there are still some huge challenges standing in the way.
So what's the path forward? Well, most experts point to a pretty clear roadmap. First, you have to fix the foundation, get those youth leagues and grassroots programs thriving again. Second, you have to unify the system into a single competitive league with promotion and relegation. Third, you need stability and transparency from the people in charge. And finally, and this is so important, you have to make sure young Indian players are actually getting to play in the top leagues.
Which brings us right back to that final, massive question. The passion for football has always been there, bubbling under the surface in cities and villages all across the country. The potential is undeniable. But after a golden past and a really troubled present, can India finally build the system it needs to turn all that passion into real performance and awaken its sleeping football giant once and for all?